Richard Waring is a longtime Summerville resident, a retired fire chief, a small business owner, and now a candidate for Summerville Town Council's District 4 seat. I talk one-on-one with Richard for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook.
Richard Waring, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Quintin. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are a lifelong Summerville resident, a small business owner, a community leader, and of course, retired Summerville fire chief. And last month, in fact, you officially filed to run for Summerville Town Council, specifically for District 4. Tell me, Richard, why Summerville Town Council? Why now?
Well, Quintin, I've been serving my whole adult life. From joined as a volunteer firefighter in Summerville back in 1992 after graduating high school, and then going to work in Charleston in the fire department there, and spending 20 years down there, and then of course I've been blessed with the opportunity to serve as fire chief in that role. Service is just something that's I feel like I'm called to do. That's probably the root of it. As far as town council goes, I've been attending as fire chief, attending council meetings now for over 11 and a half years or so, and just the opportunity kind of presented itself, and to run for District 4. See, that's of course my home address. I've lived in this district now for about 3.5 years, so almost 4 years. So just recently moved to this district from another district that I lived in a house in Summerville for 14 years, but prior to that. But anyway, it just looked like there was going to be an opportunity for this seat to be open, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to jump in and offer my experience of working in the trenches, so to speak, for the last 30 years, and offering that insight into the town council team. So I'm just looking forward to that opportunity.
And Richard, when you were attending those town council meetings, obviously you had to as fire chief.
Yes, that's right.
What exactly did you glean from that you can say that you learned that you can make better as a town council member?
Well, from what I learned is from watching those meetings is the basics of it is how the meetings work. It's how does council interact with one another at the meetings? How does council interact with one another before and after the meetings, which is also important as well. So, for those relationships we build. But what I feel like I bring to the table the most is just that kind of insider look of what someone else has never worked in government before, this deciding to serve a governing body that's I have that experience too of actually living with those policies and working with those policies that councils hand down to the people to work with. So I'm kind of bringing the insider's perspective to what's brought down from council and how that truly affects the workforce and the flow of the workday and of the services we provide to the town. So,
what current policies right now are, Richard, that you would like to tweak if you were to become town council member?
Now, I think something we need to do as a council is really sit down and plan for our future. We've historically, and what my experience has been, we've kind of taken a year-to-year approach, where we budget for a year, and then we make that budget and we go to the next. It's almost like I've described it as a finish line approach. It's like, okay, we built a building, now we're done. It just doesn't work like that, because we have to start planning for the next building, or the maintenance that goes along with that building. The other aspects that go into it. We can spend. I always call it replacement cycles of equipment with the fire department. Just because we spend $1 million on a fire truck today, we aren't done buying fire trucks, because that fire truck's going to wear out. We're going to have to buy another one. So we better be planning for those type of big expenses and maintenance to keep up with them. So I think that's an area where I can offer some insight into how that works into the council itself too.
And when you talk about the budget right now, Richard, where in the Summerville Town budget do you want to cut some things out and add some things to that budget?
As far as cuts and adding, I think what we need to do as a town is sit down and decide what do we want to do. what services do we want to provide, and then rather than trying to do everything mediocre, let's focus on where we can provide the best service and what we can afford to provide. One, to make sure we're living within our means, and then naturally public safety is going to be what every town is. That's pretty much their primary responsibility is from a town, is to provide that public safety. And then what from there are we going to do outside of those items?
And when it comes to the budget, Richard, is the town of Summerville spending wisely and conservatively?
I think that one, the town is very conservative. I don't think that I never saw a lot of waste in town government. I'd like to see the some of these plans that we've developed kind of put into fruition. A lot of times, a few times we have put some plans together, and then those plans just kind of sit on a shelf. So I think that's when I talk about the forward planning that we need to be doing. I think that's where I'm heading with that. Let's focus on some of these plans.
So with those plans, Richard, which plans right now will be ideal for District 4?
District 4, I think District 4 and town-wide, it's just, what does our growth plan need to look like? What does our annexation plans need to look like? What do we, what models are we following, and how do we want to grow the town, and what do we want to see as far as our primary purpose of being in government is to provide service to our citizens. So, what areas are we needing to provide those services?
So where exactly can the town of Summerville annex right now?
Well, as far as right now, to my knowledge, we don't have anything on the near horizon as far as a large annexation scale. The annexation laws and what my knowledge of annexation laws in South Carolina is we have to be contiguous to anything that's around us. We have to be touching, so to speak, to annex it, and somebody has to want to actually come into the town too. It's not like we're not forcing people into the town of Summerville. So.
And how many people, I'm sorry about the background noise there, but how many people actually want to annex right now into the town of Summerville?
To my knowledge, I don't know of people that are wanting to. That's just something that they bring us when they have a development or they have a need for a want for the service, so to speak, that the town provides. And
what are those services that they probably do need?
Well, primarily, like I said before, it's enhanced public safety in the town of Summerville. The town cities across the state, the incorporated cities, it's more of a focused level of public safety. So you got a smaller cluster of an area with a great many more responders, and you're not covering such a wide swath of territory as opposed to an unincorporated county or something along those lines. I would say that's primarily the first desire of someone just wanting to annex in the town of Summerville.
Sorry about that again, but when it comes to public safety, what exactly does District 4 need right now in that particular regards?
Well, our town in Summerville, we're blessed with police and fire, two of the best in the state, if not country. I may be a little biased when I say that, but I truly feel it's true. Our police department is state accredited. They are. I think at one time they were seeking international accreditation. I don't know where they are in that realm now. Our fire department is a Class 1 ISO rated fire department. We're doing everything we can possibly do within our means to get it done. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what else does the town need right now as far as public safety?
I think an area where we could focus on is our employees, our recruitment and retention of employees. Things have gotten better with that regard, but we're not in our own little bubble with this problem. It's a national problem with retention of employees these days. But I think that's an area where we need to make sure we're doing what we can to take care of our employees to make sure they get some time and some tenure in these skilled positions. Essentially, you can't just hire a person and say, okay, tomorrow you're going to go drive $1 million piece of equipment, or you're going to, that takes time to develop those people to be able to do those skilled positions. So we need to hold on to those.
So in the town of Summerville, that is, how many employees has the town actually retained thus far?
As far as retention,
Yes, sir.
that'd be a question I don't have the answer to right now. At one time, we were averaging in the fire department itself. We were averaging about 10% a year, so somewhere along those lines. We've been as high as 15, 18. We've been as low as 5 to 7. So over the last decade or more.
And how many skilled positions are there in the town of Summerville currently?
Well, I mean, essentially all those positions, any work we're doing is all skilled positions to the level of what the skill is. So some skills you learn faster than others. Some take longer to develop than others, and that's why that retention is so important with employees.
And where else do you believe the town of Summerville can retain its employees?
I think just some simple stuff. I don't, as a council member, I don't want to get down too far into the weeds. I think that we as a council can work up at the 35,000 feet level, if you will, and depend on our administrator and the town staff to really work to on these aspects. I think it's just important for us as a council to make sure we're giving them the tools to be successful. In those regards, whether it be just if they want a council member to come to a meeting, to come to an awards banquet that they may be doing, that the town staff may be doing for their employees, and just to be present, so to speak, as leaders in the community. So I think just that alone is important.
And obviously, another thing that's important right now in the town of Summerville, as you know, is growth. So let me ask you this: what is the pace of growth in District 4, for instance?
District 4, I don't believe we just took in a development a couple of years ago that you're going to start seeing some construction on here in the next maybe six months or so. We're starting to put in some infrastructure over on a large tract of land that was annexed and starting to build on now. So that's I can't remember how many houses are in that development. It is a good size. Basically, it's an old farm that was annexed and developed. So.
Wow. And I want to get back to that in just a second, but what are the current growth projections right now for District 4?
District 4's growth projections, I'm not, we're sitting in the town of Summerville right around $50,000, 50,000 people, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I believe there's about 3,800, 4,000 people in District 4 right now. Naturally, the area I just mentioned to you is an area that's going to grow that population somewhat. But outside of that, I don't know of any major impacts. And there's, to my knowledge, there's no annexations in District 4 that are on the horizon that have been brought to that those have to kind of go through a process before they even get to council from planning and planning committees and whatnot before they even get to our level. So. I don't know if anything's down the chute. I haven't had those conversations with town staff since retiring a few months ago. So those are some things I'm just going to have to get back up to speed on. I don't want to go in there and be harassing the staff as a candidate. So that's not productive for them. So it's not for me either. So
And you talk about that development that, excuse me, Richard, in that area of your particular district. So how many people do you believe, how many jobs do you hope that will be developed because of that?
Well, naturally, the construction industry will grow, will provide some jobs for that. I need to go back through that development. I believe it was mostly a residential development. I'd have to go back and check that to confirm, but this was brought in, it's been several years ago, so it'll be something I have to brush up on.
Okay. Hypothetically speaking, where do you want affordable housing / workforce housing in that particular area?
I think these areas that we're developing now, and including some areas that providing workforce housing and affordable housing is in a free market. Of course, it comes down to supply and demand. We have to make sure that we aren't kind of setting up our developments to where we only have $1 million houses in Summerville. That's it's great for some, but we need our workforce to be able to close by. I think these are things that we need to be, as far as when I talk about planning, these are things that we need to be discussing in those plans for the future of the town.
And what else should be discussed, Richard, when it comes to workforce housing and obviously affordable housing?
Well, that's the labor pool, of course. So that's we need these. We want commercial businesses to invest in Summerville. We want commercial industries to invest in Summerville because, of course, that helps alleviate the burdens of our taxpayers by offsetting the cost of residential tax fees. So for those businesses to come here, they got to have workers. So if workers are having to drive 40 miles to get to work, then that's not good either. So those are just things we need to be talking about with workforce housing.
And speaking of tax fees, Richard, what exactly is the current tax base right now in the town of Summerville?
Well, we have basically 4% tax rate and 6% tax rate, and in the town of Summerville, we're more heavily weighed towards the residential single family owner as opposed to the business, which pays at a higher percentage at 6% opposed to 4% of a owner occupied dwelling. So this is why when I think of annexations and things we need to be annexing and developments, I want to make sure that these annexations that we're talking about are going to have a commercial aspect to them. When we're talking about development, that they've got to have these commercial businesses along with the residential to help offset the cost of the services we provide to the residential areas.
So how many residential occupied dwellings do you have right now in your district?
Oh, wow, that's I want to say it was on 1,800 homes or something like that. Maybe 2,000 homes. I believe in District 4. I need to confirm that. That's a kind of a guess, I guess, or a guesstimate, but somewhere in that region.
To this then, Richard, what's more important for the town of Summerville, really? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, and better utilizing those homes?
Well, naturally, rehabbing is great, and that increases the value of a home as opposed to it just does less land disturbance, so to speak. But that doesn't do anything for the additional people that are coming into town. So it's kind of a cross of both. Our area, not just the town of Summerville, but our region of the state is growing exponentially. So in the last 10 years, even. So it's I don't see that trajectory slowing down. I feel like the market here is still pretty strong, even with the recent increases in interest rates and so to speak. I haven't seen it to a big slowdown. So being in the remodel business myself, and that's what I'm doing now after retirement. So the phone is ringing, which is good for me, but it's I just don't see a slowdown in the amount of people that are moving in this area. So that's where the new homes come in. I read the newspaper every week, and there's real estate transactions, and those don't seem to be getting the number of those don't seem to be getting shorter every week.
So what exactly is the median home value in the town of Summerville?
Oof, and you're asking me a good question there. I don't even want to guess at that. I see that when I read those transactions, it's anywhere from $250,000 up to $750 million. So a few $1 million homes have kind of sprinkled in here recently. So it's really quite a range now.
And you talked earlier about the additional amount of people moving into Summerville. So what was that rate from the past, well, say from COVID to right now?
Say that again now?
Yeah, you talked earlier about additional people moving into the town of Summerville. Say from 2020, really at the beginning of COVID to right now, right. How many people have actually moved into the town of Summerville?
We don't have the census numbers on. I think the census was done in 2020, and that's where we had gone up to 50,000. I think we increased about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people, as opposed to according to the census statistics. Of course, that's in the incorporated areas of town of Summerville. You stretch 200 yards outside of Summerville, you're picking up another 75,000, 80,000 people. So it's just a matter of there's a lot of people up here. It is. The police chief and myself used to always talk about the fact we service 50,000 people is what between police and fire we have 50,000 people we're primarily responsible for taking care of, but there's another 70,000 to come through town every day. So it's essentially we're looking at 150,000 people as opposed to 50,000.
Wow. So where in addition In the district, do you identify and also develop those unique characteristics when it comes to residential, commercial, and mixed use?
Honestly, our district, other than that development I was telling you about, it's for the most part built out. And the town of Summerville there's not a lot of available land within in the incorporated limits of Summerville right now to develop. It's there was an annexation about 40 years ago across the interstate, and a couple on the south end of town that have picked up and that have been taken in the last couple of years. But other than those, development is going on down off of Dorchester Road. So most of these are they're planned out, I guess, so to speak. So unless we look at annexation, there's not a lot of dirt left, I guess, so to speak, and within the incorporated limits of Somerville.
And Richard, let me ask you, how should the town of Somerville maintain and enhance the existing residential and commercial character of the town and actually provide for compatible, appropriate, and high quality development and redevelopment?
Yeah, I think this is where we need to sit down and just do some planning with. I think that's where I would like to see some community input, maybe some community committees that can get together to decide on the fate of Somerville. There's a lot of talk going on lately about what's going on downtown Somerville. And downtown Somerville is beautiful. It's a little area right there, and then you get outside of that area, and then how do we want that to look 5-10 years down the road? So those are things we need to be talking about now before we just start kind of jumping here and there. Let's get together with our community members, include them, and come up with a good plan that we can all be proud of and all want to take part in. I think in our current society, we're never going to please everyone, but we've got to make sure that we're inclusive of everyone. That everybody has a seat at the table when we're talking about these plans for the future of our town. So,
is the town of Somerville inclusive when it comes to the plans for affordable housing and workforce housing?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Yes, sir. When you talk about inclusiveness, excuse me. When it comes to inclusiveness, do you believe that the town of Somerville is being inclusive when it comes to affordable housing and workforce housing?
Yeah, I don't know if we. I'm not familiar with the process for developing that that kind of thing. I know that developers come to the town and work through our planning process, and then it works its way up to council. And really, a lot of those developments don't even get up to the council level if they've already been annexed into town, and it's land that developers come into play. So I think that as far as our town plans and whatnot, I think they've done a good job of advertising those in the past for our comprehensive plans. When those have come up for renewal, they've done a good job of advertising for those and getting input on those plans in the past.
And speaking of advertisers and developers, when you go back to the downtown Somerville area and you think about the future of that, what public-private partnership would be ideal for that?
I don't know. I don't know of public-private partnerships. I'm not 100% familiar with them. I know the town dabbled in that a couple of years ago. I know the deal eventually fell through. So I'm not familiar where that would really apply, or any properties downtown where that would really be applicable. So.
And how exactly should downtown Somerville look in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I like the thought of retail space and extending the walk-in areas around beyond the railroad tracks and the couple blocks of downtown Somerville. That'd be great to have some more. This is just me personally. Some more established areas for dining and just entertainment and whatnot. I think our restaurant scene in Somerville has really turned on greatly in the last couple of years, for sure. It was good before, but I think it's even gotten better in the last couple of years. And that's nice. You can't go out in Somerville right now to any night of the week and not have a way to the restaurant, which is fabulous for them. So that's and good for our towns.
And what strategies should the town implement that will promote the economic vitality and financial stability of the town while maintaining its residential character and preserving its natural beauty, which Somerville has?
Right. Yeah, I think it's just make sure we're recruiting the right people, make sure we got the right businesses for the right areas. Basically make sure it fits what Somerville is, and and then make sure we have a good definition of what that is. What is Somerville, and I think that's where it goes back to what I was saying earlier about getting our community together to really come up with that plan and decide what downtown, the extension of downtown. Downtown's downtown. That's the block around where town hall is and town square is. What does beyond that look like? And I think that's what we're mostly talking about now is what that look like, and then how do we get there? There's private property owners over there that me personally, I don't feel like government needs to be kind of getting in their door too much, other than make sure they have a safe building and a safe place and provide it. Regulations are following and whatnot, but that's it right there. But I think we got to be careful when we start picking winners and losers, so to speak, as a government. So.
And what is Summerville in your mind?
Oh man, that's a deep question. Somerville to me is my best definition of Somerville is home. This is home to me. I don't. Somerville's changed a lot over the course of my lifetime. I'm 50 years old now, and I lived here my whole life. And the downtown back in the 80s was starting to become almost an abandoned strip down there, and a group of citizens got together and really revitalized that area. Of course, that led to the Summerville Dream later on down the line. That's still very active in downtown, and they do a phenomenal job of promoting the downtown area. And it's funny. We rode bikes as kids up to downtown McDonald's and whatnot. We were kids having burgers, and safe to do that, and I feel like it's still safe to do that this day. So I just feel like it's home is the best way to describe Somerville in my mind.
And you talk about obviously bicycles and obviously getting to McDonald's, Richard.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, connectivity projects or initiatives that you want to add to that downtown area to make people want to come to the downtown area more?
I think walkability is huge. I look at the progress we've made with sidewalks and streets over the last more than a decade. This has been going on for a while. The sidewalks when we were kids there weren't a lot of them. There were a few, but it wasn't a lot of them. And now there's so much more connectivity is going on with opportunities and trails. The Sawmill Branch Trail that's back on the canal banks. That initiative was put together, Lord, back in the that was probably in the 90s when that took place, and it's a huge asset for the town as far as I'm concerned. And I just think there's plenty of outside opportunities now, and we're really continuing to improve upon that. So.
And what outside opportunities would be ideal for the downtown area right now?
Was it with outside opportunities?
Yes, sir.
I was talking about the changes that Summerville's made. All change is painful, and I remember the discussions of the downtown park, the revitalization of town square, the park in town square, and how much opposition there was to that, and what a transformation it's made, and what a transformation it's made to people coming outside to that now. If you look at you ride downtown on a Saturday today, opposed to a Saturday 15 years ago, you see just crowds of people walking around that town square. It's wonderful. I mean, you can't beat that. Just to see that as a place where our community kind of comes together and sits on the corner of the coffee shop and just enjoys time together. That goes back to what I really said and described Summerville as home. So.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you this, Richard. If you were to be elected on Summerville Town Council, what exactly would you do on day one?
Day one is I got to play a little bit of catch up for one. I always say it's important for a leader and a new leader before they try to take off into a certain direction, is they have to know where they are. So that's kind of the in my leadership roles of my career. That's always been my number one duty on day one. I felt like I'd love to see us get together as a new council. We're going to have a new mayor, next year. So, we I feel like we should be getting together with I will encourage the group to sit down with our administrator and key department heads and let's see where we are and let's truly figure out where we are and what direction we need to head in. So
the directions, Richard. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you talked about downtown Summerville and how that has transformed into such a great beauty there. But where in the town of Summerville do you see replications of another downtown Summerville?
Yeah, I always, Oak Brook, that Ashley River corridor to me, I don't even like to let it out because I think the Ashley River is the hidden gem of Summerville. It's just down there on the banks of the Ashley, so pretty. And I think there's a lot of opportunity down there. I know Councilman Jackson is down that way. He's done a heck of a job promoting that area, and Oak Brook forever. I feel like Oak Brook now it truly is a part of Summerville. It feels like a part of Summerville when you go out there. Wasn't always the case when we were young growing up. It seemed like it took us. We had to pack a lunch to get to King Trent back in those days, but it's just we're so much closer now. So I just think that area out there is so pretty, and of course it's kind of where it all started for Summerville. So I think it's a good spot to all be back there together. So.
And how many more people do you believe will actually move to Summerville because of its beauty and attractions and whatnot in the next 5 years?
It's funny when you hear people talk about they live in Summerville. A lot of that has to do with postal zip codes and whatnot. We jump over to Berkeley County, and a lot of people over there say they're in Summerville. They aren't in the incorporated limits of Summerville, but their postal address is Summerville. So that creates some confusion. So as far as that area over there, I believe it was it's several hundred acres is going to be developed over there across the interstate that is in the incorporated limits of Summerville. So how many people that brings, I can't recall the numbers. I was a part of the plan and study from the fire chief point of view from that position when that was part of the town. So that's going to be a pretty good population boom over there, I believe. So.
Wow, to be continued.
Exactly. A few years down the road, that's a long process to get one of those development that size going. So it's a few years down the road for sure, but definitely ongoing.
Richard Waring, thank you so much for your time, and again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate you having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Take care.
Likewise, you too.
We'll see you soon.